Yeah.
All I know is this violates every canon of respectable broadcasting.
How are you?
Hey, who wants to help me get this recorder out of here? I need some muscle over here.
You are listening to Blame Your Brother.
Hello. Welcome back once again to Blame Your Brother. If you are watching the live stream right now, you are in for a treat. We are back in the BYB studio, and hello. The technical problems will continue. We are back at the BYB studios. No more Zoom calls for right now, and we are excited to be back, excited to bring you some good entertainment. Lots to talk about tonight for sure. A lot of happening in the world, and we'll get all to that. But we're going to start off the same way we do every week, with introductions. I am one third of this trio called Blame Your Brother. I am David, aka D Brew, voice of the people, Mr. 40%, Glenn Jackson, the spiritual midget, the dictator, and I am joined by this gentleman who sits over to the left of me in real time. It's Lee.
What up, everyone? It's Ron, Jeremy's bastard child, the one and only LeBron safety pin.
And then I have this gentleman that sits to my right. It's John.
Everybody, John here, a.k.a. Tico, a.k.a. Lazarus, the man from the dead, Mr. Groupon, Mr. PTI, the madman.
They got John Tortorella, a madman.
They do have a madman.
Okay, he's a madman.
Look at that. Sound drops and everything. That's right. Blame Your Brother. David Lee John back wearing no mask, as the chat says. Hey, whatever. We'll deal with it. If we all get COVID-19, then we'll just go back to Zoom, I guess. So, yes, we are back. Hopefully you enjoyed all the past episodes. I thought they were pretty good, but we'll see what happens when we get back together for the first time again. But hey, let's start the show off. We got lots to talk about, and we do start the show off also the same way every week with apologies, retractions, omissions, a chance for us to undo the wrongs we said in last week's episode. So we'll start with Lee this week. Lee, is there anything you need to apologize for?
Yep, record looks clean from my end.
All right, John, anything on your end?
I'm sure, but I don't remember.
All right, good enough. I felt that's pretty clean. It was a Donald Trump bash-a-thon, so you couldn't really get much wrong.
I did want to point out, though, you did post something mildly interesting on Twitter. It was a part of the quarantine protocol is for us to all record separate tracks and to send them to you, which you do your audio engineering masterpieces on. And then you post it. You posted the three blips, the audio waveforms, and say, can you guess who is who? I don't know if you saw that, John.
I did see it.
Okay.
Our friend Josh Baker nailed it.
Yep.
When he guessed.
I mean, I think we all,
we all
nailed it.
I talked the most, Lee talks the second, and John occasionally. I looked at the way, I was like, is John's wrong? Like, am I missing part of John's way? No, it was all there. So, apology in the chat. Marlon says, I apologize for defending Donald Trump. And he sent out a tweet that said he would apologize for his remarks on last week's episode. Luckily for him, no one's going to go back and watch that on YouTube and see what he said. So he's in the clear. Lucky for him. So, yeah, crazy times right now. I mean, we're going to get to all that, I guess. But we'll start like we do every week. I keep saying that because I'm just not used to being back in the same room with you guys.
Well, here's the thing. If you ever find yourself in a position where you're defending Donald Trump, you don't have to apologize. At that point, you've done wrong. Yeah. Just stop. Just stop right then.
Yeah, it's bad.
I didn't realize he was defending Donald Trump at the time.
Oh, yeah, big time in the chat.
Time?
Yeah.
No.
Why don't you guys get your facts together? Because why would we start now? I mean, we're almost to episode 200. You think we're going to start now? We're going to read some executive order? I don't know. I mean, like I said, we could talk about that freaking bozo forever.
You kind of want to. I feel like you kind of want to.
I feel it's almost like our obligation to the world.
Okay, just hit us with the best of the week then.
The Bible.
Okay, the Bible.
The Bible photo op was my favorite thing.
Mine was they told me that I needed to inspect the bunker. That was mine. I don't know if you heard that one.
Yeah, so he was in the bunker of the White House when the protests were taking place, not for his own safety, because he wanted to just look around and check it out.
They told him he needed to inspect it to make sure it was okay.
So, John, anything that stands out for Mr. DJT?
I've seen a lot on social media, so you got to take it with a grain of salt. The tale of two tweets. Did you guys hear about this?
No, what is it?
It's one tweet encouraging the governor to take action, and if he doesn't open up businesses, that he'd have to send National Guard in, and then on the flip side, another tweet, him calling people thugs and.
Yeah.
And they're threatening to send the National Guard in.
It's wild.
Hey man, if I had access to the National Guard, I would have a different demeanor too. I would threaten people with the National Guard, wouldn't you?
Here's what I'm gonna say. I might offend a lot of people. I don't care.
I mean, I'd send them on food runs. I'd have a party. We're like, oh, we're
Dairy
out of
Queen.
chips. National Guard.
Oh, I'm thinking of the Coast Guard. So, if you had to sign up for the military, the Coast Guard was always like the safest option, right? Like you're like, that's the one that's not really seeing any action. That's like Marines, Army, I guess maybe Navy, Air Force, National Guard, Coast Guard, right? Like that's pretty fair. I mean,
sure.
How intimidating is the National Guard? They're just glorified like police officers, right? Just
I mean,
going around.
and eventually the Space Force.
Yes, well, that one, yes, that would be great to be in. Which I feel like you guys almost should apologize for downplaying the space launch. I watched it and I got emotional, and maybe I'm getting emotional about everything.
Was
I
like
watched.
Elon? Did they do like the Elon Musk like transparent, like, and him giving like a emotional speech? Today we take one large step for SpaceX.
I did not see that.
No?
I did not see that.
What did you get emotional about then?
Well, I just thought of back to the Challenger days when we saw that as children outplay, where Challenger blew up, and I was sitting there just to myself going, come on. I was seriously like, please go, please come on. And I was like saying it out loud, and I was like, that's crazy. And then I got on Twitter, and like a lot of people were like, yeah, I was like saying, please, don't. I think it sticks with our generation because
they launch rockets all the time and they don't blow up.
I don't watch them.
Right, I know that's what I'm saying.
But
I realize that.
But this is space. This is going to get people into this. This is for the average citizen to go into space. Now, is there any chance you would go into space?
Oh, 100. That has been a dream of mine.
Really?
Since I was a small child. To float in 0G gravity, to look down upon the earth and to be separate and to be so alone, that just sounds amazing. If they had a moon or Mars colonization program, I would sign up for it immediately.
You can buy land on Mars via Groupon.
Do I talk to you about that? Do I got
You can go
you got an
straight to
affiliate
Groupon.
code?
I hope that's a joke, John.
It really is not.
What are you talking about?
Who can sell land on the
I
moon
don't
space?
know,
Mars.
but it's on Mars. You can buy land on Mars. I'm like, who are you paying? I don't know.
How much? I mean, do you
$12 an acre.
$12 an acre.
Did you buy one?
No, I'm tempted to, but
Send me that link. I'll buy like 2 acres. I mean, why not?
Okay, I'll just send you an invoice. I'll sell you the whole moon for $20.
Okay, so John, would you go into a private space rocket?
I like my planet the way it is. I'm good.
I'm with you. No way. I mean, as much as romantic as that sounds, I love every song about space. Like, one of my favorite songs of all time is Space Oddity by David Bowie. I love it. I love the imagery, like you said, floating in space by yourself, but hell no.
0G, just imagine floating. And maybe this is just me watching Space Odyssey 2001 where, they're floating and it's docking and playing the classical
You watched
ballet
the
music.
entire movie, though, right? Like, you
Yeah.
realize shit goes down in that movie.
There was an evil AI named David, so I'm already kind of familiar
There you
with
go.
that lifestyle.
Okay, yeah, it's true. It's a good movie.
I mean,
It's good. Anyway, so
emotional. You got emotional because it didn't blow up.
yes,
Okay.
I think it took me back to childhood. I think things.
Well, I mean, with the Challenger, that was the first spaceship that took an ordinary, quote unquote, normal person
yeah,
and sent them into space, and it didn't work out.
right. I
So
don't know.
yeah, this is like
But we've had space shuttles after the Challenger.
Yeah,
that
we
wasn't
have.
even the last one to blow up.
yeah, but I mean, this had like
The-
a person
the-
that was not an astronaut.
Well, I think the last one that blew up was when it was coming down.
Right.
Right.
As they say with planes, it's not the takeoff that'll kill you; it's the landing that will kill you most of the time.
And the Challenger.
That's why I get very nervous on the landing of more so than the takeoff. I'm like, well, if we die here, it was meant to be. But like the landing is where you can die easily. So
What is the worst airplane landing you've ever experienced, or have you experienced a bad one?
I haven't really had any bad ones, thank God.
I remember once I was flying into like Miami, and
Why?
It was like switching planes or
What's
something.
going on here? You a drug dealer?
Yeah.
Why are you
I'm not
flying to
allowed to-
Miami? I didn't even know you've been to Miami.
You said Miami like it's like Guantanamo Bay. Like it's like
Flying
the
into
worst
Miami, you know?
place.
Why were you?
But anyway,
no. Stop.
Listen, I
Why
can't
were you in
talk about
Miami?
it. I can't talk about it. Okay.
You don't think this is weird?
I'll tell you after the show.
I
okay?
mean,
Have you been to Miami, John?
It wasn't weird until he said I can't talk about it.
Have you ever had to swallow a balloon? That's all I'm
No,
saying.
not yet.
I've been to Miami, yes, and
Oh, you have been to Miami?
Yeah.
Flew into Miami.
no.
See, that's the key of the statement. I flew into Miami, okay? Not I drove to Miami. I just envision drug dealers flying into Miami.
We drove to Miami once to. We went on a cruise, and we docked out of Miami, so we went to Miami for that, and then I went with my brother and his wife and his kids down to SeaWorld one year.
Okay, well, that makes sense. All right, so anyway, you were coming into Miami.
This plane comes down and it slams the ground so hard that the pilot comes on the air and it's like, I apologize for that landing. It is all my fault. And I mean, it was one of those where you're just like visibly shaken afterwards.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever, if you never, like, you admit to being scared of landing.
Yes.
Now imagine being in a situation where you actually slam into the ground.
Turbulence is enough to get you scared. Like, oh shit, this is over. We're done. Which they say statistically it's the safest way. Well, Superman says that in Superman Returns, but still there's a chance someone out there's got to be the statistic. That's how I look at it. So I love flying because of the duration of the trip, but I don't like flying because of everything else kind of involved with it. So
it's a little scary.
I do like to have a lot of control, and if you're on a plane, just zero control whatsoever.
Zero for sure. Okay, well, so we're living our lives. COVID-19's still existing. So anybody got anything to talk about that happened this past week?
Is COVID still a thing? I'm not sure that it is anymore. I think it just ended.
Well,
like one day, like everyone was like, we're done.
Nashville's still in phase 2, though. They can't go forward to phase 3 because the numbers have gone up. And the numbers obviously will go up quite a bit in the next few weeks.
You would even say exponentially.
Yes. I mean, it's going to be bad. I don't know what they're going to do about it. But anyway, anything happened with you guys?
We literally went from be apart from each other to let's cram as many people into a road as we possibly can gather to protest. Those are about as far on the spectrum as one can get. So,
yeah, no, I agree with you.
Yeah, well, it was weird. It was one day nobody cares about COVID as a collective consciousness.
I mean, I think I'm still concerned about it, but
brother, you were ahead of the curve. You were up at the train museum running around with the kids with no mask.
Around nobody though. No, if you're not around people, you don't have to wear the mask.
Okay.
Only when you're around, should we be wearing them now? Yeah, probably.
How are you going to wear a mask and podcast?
News reporters are doing it every day on the news when they're out. You haven't seen this? They're at the protest wearing masks.
Come on, brother.
Okay, well, anyway. So,
all right, we'll put your mask on. John brought his.
Yeah, I see. I got mine in the car if I need to
go get it. We'll wait for you.
No, I'm good. So, anyway, get back to original question. Anything to talk about, or are we just going to go straight into the heart of the matter here? That's the question.
I was telling Lee earlier, I'm still a little paranoid over certain things.
Yeah.
I still have not gotten my hair cut, and it's kind of...
Show the camera. It's pretty rough.
It's pretty rough.
All right. Yeah, it's getting long.
So, yeah.
It's not... Yeah.
I mean, I got a bowl. I got a bowl. If you want me to trim you up.
If you wanted to buzz me right now in the air and you could do it effectively, I would let you do it.
If I trusted you with my hair, I would. But guess what?
You don't.
I don't.
I'm about a step away from a buzz cut, truthfully.
I'm already... that ship has sailed for me, brother.
So anyway, I haven't had a haircut in a while either. So okay, so nothing for you?
Not really. I've just I've been chilling online, been taking some songwriting classes, some workshops,
and
trying to chill out.
Talk about who's hosting them.
There's a friend of the show, Becky Warren, doing a songwriting workshop for the 4 weekends in a row. So it's been interesting.
So you talked about this off air last week, and it was bizarre to me. So you're in a Zoom class.
You're in a Zoom class or a Zoom conference.
There's people. How many people?
Varies like 15 to 30.
Okay.
You know?
And everyone has to go around and they say, what do you think about this, or tell us about this experience that you could write a song about.
It's multifaceted, but one of the things is a writing experience where you're given a set of minutes to kind of step aside and write something, either free form, or if you're good enough to write some lyrics, you can do that.
You have to share this?
You don't have to, but it's encouraged. It's a safe place, you know? It's the whole point of like being a songwriter is kind of being vulnerable and kind of expressing your life story through lyrics, right? Music.
When I wrote songs, and I've written quite many, I was just never the type, I don't know, man. I just didn't like sharing the lyrics until they were just being performed. Like, I wouldn't sit around and go, hey guys, check out these lyrics I wrote, man. It's just not, I don't know.
That's actually part of the class, is like figuring out how to get over those obstacles, right? Like, and, you know, probably the stuff that you wrote about was like, oh, falling in love with a girl. But some of these people had like real life experiences that were traumatic, you know, violence and
we wrote about some traumatic stuff, man. I mean,
but these people were writing about like
escape,
being the victim of a violence or rape or something like that.
There's no way.
Where that would be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
That would be difficult to perform. Like, just even if not for someone else, for yourself, just to even confront those emotions. So, I mean, you know, it's a workshop. So there's, you know, you're not going to come to some great epiphany in an hour or so, but you know,
probably not.
Baby steps. So
that sounds cool.
Yeah.
So have you written any songs?
You know, a couple.
Through this?
Right, yeah.
Okay, well, good. I guess it's doing its job then.
Right, exactly.
So when's the album coming out?
I think 2025 is probably the 10th of December, late
Brother,
December.
We ain't going to be around in 2025. You better get that shit out now.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Can you give us a little sample sometime soon?
Maybe.
You have to get them on Zoom where you can share it with you. John, anything new?
No, not really.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, me either. We had a little field day for the children at the grandparents. So we got, you know, field day obviously didn't happen for all the kids. So we got my kids and my brother-in-law's kids, and a friend came over and they did some field day activities, and they had a good time doing it. And
what field activities?
Water balloons and stuff like that.
Water balloons, relay
usually
race, sponge race, just silly
sponge
games.
Race.
You get a sponge. This is like popular, and this is like the one the kids look forward to now in schools, because I would go with my kids every year. You get a bucket of water and a sponge. You put the sponge in the bucket of water, and then you run over to the bucket and you get all the water out. That's one way to do it.
You got to fill it up to a line.
Yeah, and whoever fills up the most wins. And another one's where you pass it back. You're on a line. You pass the sponge back, so everybody's soaking wet by the end, but the kids love it. So, and then we played a lot of ultimate frisbee, football, or whatever it's called.
Did you hand out participation trophies?
Everybody got
ribbons?
a trophy. Yes.
What?
Everyone got
a trophy?
I mean, a little
ribbon,
a little medal.
I thought you were anti.
No, I'm not.
Participation ribbon.
No, I've never been that.
You've grown so soft in your old age.
I have changed quite a bit over the last few years. But
do you give them like blue, like first place blue, or just straight?
My wife got. They were just some Dollar Tree items, like a little, you know.
All right. When you were a child in field day, was there one activity that you knew you were going to come home first place?
Either balloon stomp or the 3-legged race. I would always get first place in generally.
Is that like a solo event? How does that work?
Yeah.
Only for some people.
Yeah, it's only not for me. I had to have a partner. Everybody knows 3-legged race. You tie your legs together in the middle, and then you race. And I thought I was always good at communicating, like, this is how we're going to win, walk together.
Okay.
But the balloon stomp was you tie a balloon around your ankle, and then you try to stomp I was pretty good at that. But nothing else. Tug of war, no. My kids every year would be in tug of war, right? And so I'm that parent, like at field day. Like I don't talk to any other parents because I got nothing to say to them really. But like when tug of war started, I was over there like coaching it up,
got the
like
bullhorn out,
motivating them, like, come on, let's go, and like dig. I was like dig, pull, and I was telling them how to pull on the. It was fun. I love that stuff, man. I should have been like a coach at like a. Is that what they're called?
It's not too late.
Elementary school.
Yeah, elementary school coach. Yeah, I should have been.
Not too late, baby. You probably get like right now. You could probably do like 2 years. Be right in.
Really?
Be slotted right in, baby.
I might look into that. Lately, the COVID has taught me one thing, the whole situation, is that my job sucks. I don't like it. I mean, it's not, and here's the thing. I'm not saying it's like the worst job ever. It's just very boring. And I'm like, I got to do this for another 20 years. Man, that's hard to stomach some days. Like, I
think everyone feels that way at some point, though.
I was thinking, everyone does feel that way, right? Like, are there people just walking around going, man, I got the best job in the world?
I mean, there's some people probably.
A minority of people, though, right? Like, it's not like a lot of people.
Probably like pro baseball players.
Well, I mean, sure, they hate their jobs, though, at some point. Is there point later in their career, like, I hate this sport, man. You know, it's just, how do we live in a society? This is the revolutionary talking here. How do we live in a society where that's expected of us? We're expected to go in 8 hours a day, work for a company that does not give a shit about us. Let's just be honest here. I mean, they don't care about us. Like, maybe you work at a place that does. I don't. John doesn't. Lee doesn't. So, I mean, if I just put us as like, you know, a small percentage poll right there, that's not good. Like, I don't know anyone that does really love their job that's not self-employed. That's the key. But if you work for
even those people have their days.
Yeah, I'm sure days, but mine's every day. Right. Like, there's no day where I'm like, today I'm gonna go give it to the man, everything I've got. Like, I'm like, how can I cut every corner possible, but still do a good job? Like, I do say, everyone working says I do a good job, and I'm sure, I mean, you too as well. I've worked with you, but I'm never gonna go, yeah, let me stay over for 4 hours and really impress the boss today. I'm like, no, I don't care. Like,
I think I've found those.
When I start new jobs, I do that.
Well,
I feel that way, but then I quickly learn that was pointless.
Right.
I feel like the people that I find that truly not only enjoy their job, but like look forward to going into it on Monday mornings are the people who build their friend structure at their job. And they're pretty much just going to their job because that's where their friends are.
Yeah, that's true.
And I've always been the kind of person that's like, that doesn't feel right to me, you know? Like, I don't know. But maybe it's something to try. Something to try, you know?
There's a few people I work with, that I genuinely enjoy working with, and I've hung out with them after work. The rest of them, 90% of them, I don't hate you, baby, but I don't love you, okay? And if I never saw you again, that's cool. I don't care. Like, in a lot of
you should be an employer.
Apparently so. So I don't know. It's just kind of a bummer. But that's, what are you going to do? Well, let's get to some lighter material.
All right. What's been going on? Is anything going on?
What's happening in the world? No, this past week has been kind of insane. Obviously, we've had COVID-19, coronavirus, dominant in the news every freaking day, and you're thinking, can anything top this? Oh yeah, it can. So it started when George Floyd was murdered by a police officer, stuck his knee on his neck and choked him out to death. And this has caused
civil unrest,
unlike we've seen before. Like, we've seen this before. We saw it with Ferguson, we saw it with Mike Brown, we saw it with Trayvon Martin. We haven't seen it like this.
Well, wasn't there L.A. riots?
Rodney King.
Rodney King.
This is across the U.S., baby. This ain't this ain't one state. This was in Nashville, where shit looked wild. It was like a war zone out there for a little bit, man. Like, I would have been like concerned if I was down, and I wanted to go, but like, as someone with kids and a family, I'm not going to go down there. Yeah. Now, if you're
part of the problem.
Well, I mean, and so we'll get to all that, but anyway. That's been happening, and it's brought up this whole thing of Black Lives Matter, which, I mean, I don't know what you guys, I support it 100%. I'm not an all lives matter guy. It's Black Lives Matter, okay? As I've seen one guy said, yes, we know all lives matter, but right now we're talking about Black Lives Matter, obviously. And we've gotten this situation where cops are on the streets abusing people, and people are abusing police officers as well. And we know, no one's going to sit there and go, every cop's evil that's ever been on the force, but we talked about last week, I mean, if you're part of the problem of not reporting your fellow officers, then you're kind of part of the problem. But to be fair,
if you're in a position to fix it and you don't.
But how hard is that? Like, really think about that. I
imagine it'd be
extremely
difficult, yeah.
We talk about when you go to work, this is your social circle. In police officer work, and if you're first listening here, I worked at the police department for 18 years.
You put your life in those other people's hands.
Yeah, I was not an officer, but I worked around officers all the time. So when I'm speaking about these things, I lived them for 18 years of my life. These people were their family. This ain't your friends. These are your family once you become in this department. And there was a great story. Corey, my brother-in-law, told me to go listen to this NPR podcast years ago. It was about this officer that saw corruption in the department. And holy hell, when he reported it, things got bad. It's like his life was being threatened. Okay. And you got to say, you're on a call, you're calling for backup. If they think you're a snitch or a rat, they're not going to show up. Okay. They're not going to show up. They're not going to have your back. Things are going to be bad. So I try to put that in people's perspective. It's wrong 100%. And if you are an officer, you need to understand that your first priority is the law, what's right. So the thing with George Floyd is the one officer was arrested. He's been charged now with second-degree murder, and the 3 other officers that were there with him have been charged with accessory to second-degree murder. And they're all going to, in a just world, that guy's going to go to jail. Who knows? Other cops have been acquitted before. This isn't something new in America. But I think the one guy who was a rookie, and one of those guys was like his field
training officer.
Yeah, field training officer. And he told him twice, he's like, hey, man, I don't think you need to be doing that. And he goes, no, this is fine. And he told him again, he's like, hey, man, I think you really need to get off his neck. He's like, no.
No.
I feel a little bit of sympathy for that guy, because can you imagine being a rookie officer and these dudes have been on the department for 20 years? What else can you do? You're going to pull out your...
If you know this, surely... When he goes
he
to
ain't
trial,
no Ethan Hawke.
When he goes to trial, it'll come out.
Brother, how are they going to get a fair trial? How are they going to get a fair trial?
If the one guy said is a rookie and he's saying don't do this, and everyone is saying,
but I'm looking at that from an internal perspective of being in that environment. Most juries aren't thinking of that. They're thinking of, I'm in an office job. This guy's stealing money from, whatever, the till or whatever. I'm going to report. They think like that.
But that highlights the problem with all of this. And that's, if a jury is not following the letter of the law, they're just as guilty as a cop not following the letter of the law, right? Your job as a jury is to follow the law, is to provide this.
Okay.
This.
Would you trust at all, if your life was on the line for murder, okay, your wife comes up missing, okay, you're suspect number 1 every time. It doesn't matter, okay? You're suspect 1. Your alibi, you were out, but no one really can vouch for you, whatever. You like to go out to music shows by yourself.
Your Strangers app isn't working.
They found some DNA material in my house.
Well, hopefully they would. but some circumstances, the cops decide you're the guy. And this has happened more than once. It's happened a lot. And they decide you're the guy. They get you. You're locked up. You're hooked. You're in court. You really going to trust a jury?
No, I'm not. But that's what I'm saying is the problem.
The jury is the makeup of the community. And let's be honest. There's a graph. You got the middle of the graph. That's the average person, okay? That's the average intelligence person, average schooling, average everything, okay? Now, half of that graph is smarter than that person, and half of that graph is dumber than that person, okay?
So it's half and half. So that's
how many intelligent people do you think get on juries? Because I'm telling you right now, brother, it's not a lot, okay?
Well, imagine a lot of intelligent people are trying not to be on the jury.
Bingo, you're correct.
I get what you're going. But that's the issue I have. And you would be surprised at how many cops actually don't know the law.
Oh, I'm sure.
You would be surprised at how many cops are trying to find and give people citations, arrest them, or even bring violence on people outside of the law. Yes. And they think they're totally justified. They
100%.
The same thing with jury. We put these people on the jury, and like you said, they're ignorant. Yep. They're uneducated.
Yep.
They don't understand the law. So, and it doesn't stop at the police officer. It doesn't stop at the jury. We're all guilty of it. Yeah. We don't have any idea how our politics work. Most people don't understand what the executive branch is responsible for.
Correct.
Most people probably don't even know what a Senate or Congress is for the most part. And it gets back to a problem with education. And these times, it's really troubling to see that education is not only on the forefront of our budgetary concerns, it's being cut. Here in Nashville, the budget was passed and where they were going to give the police an armored vehicle. And they were cutting the education budget.
Oh, it's crazy.
And telling teachers that they cannot have raises.
It's crazy.
So how, there's no simple solution to this. Maybe protesting and rioting in the streets is the only answer. Revolution, you know?
Correct. There is no simple answer. The answer is, as we talked about last week, I mean, is better guidelines for police officers, more strict testing, more strict background checks. I mean, I was doing background checks for a while. And trust me, some of the applicants, I was like, whoa, man, are we sure about this? Like, you know, I mean, I didn't have that say in the matter. I was
let me throw out an idea. Let me throw out an idea I heard that I thought was pretty good.
All right.
And we did something. We started this process in Nashville. I'm not sure what happened to it. It kind of seemed like it got a little goofy and silly. But basically, there is a oversight board for police officers. In order to be a police officer, you have to have a certification.
Yeah.
This oversight board has the ability to issue and revoke certifications at any time for any reason.
Yeah.
Is that too much power?
No, it's probably the exact amount of power. So during my time as the police department, I was a civilian employee. Okay. And when we were charged with an offense, which could be anything, it could be literally not doing your work in the manner they thought you should do it in, you were brought before the internal affairs of the police department to have your hearing, so to speak. Now, you were screwed going in. Okay, at one point, I was the president of the civilian association. I was the man in charge.
That's scary sounding.
I would go with these people to these hearings. And there was one where this guy was badgering the person I was representing. Do I think she was getting a bad shake? Yes, I did. And I just looked at her and I said, you don't have to answer these questions. And he looked at me and goes, you're going to get removed out of here if you say that again. I just went, we're screwed. I mean, you know, I mean, what are the rules here? And I was investigated more than once for like silly stuff. It's just insane. So these are the guys investigating their own dudes that they know.
Internal affairs has to go.
Yeah, it should not exist on any level whatsoever, and let alone for civilian mishaps at a police department. That's one of the worst jobs I've ever had. I mean, I haven't had many, but the environment there was pro-military, and I look at these officers, and you're right. We look at the protest in all these cities. These guys are teed up, and they're ready to knock someone out. They're goons. Okay, they're taught.
And most of them are racist. They've generational racism in their family.
Yeah. I mean, when I started working there in 1995, I would work in booking. I would work in ID. I would work in places where, you know, and a lot of the officers that were in these places were there because they had done bad things and they couldn't fire them. And a lot of those things were very racist things, beating the hell out of black civilians. I worked with a guy that was president of the Black FOP. He was undercover. This is in Nashville. His name's Reggie Miller. He was undercover and got pulled.
Not to be confused with the Pacer.
Yeah, not him. He got pulled out of the car by officers and beat down. And he was undercover at the time.
Yeah, I remember that.
Doing nothing. So if you don't think these guys are ready to go around, I've watched some of these videos, man, and it is sickening what they're doing to these people.
Is there a solution for that then? I mean, are cops necessary?
That's the question that's being asked right now. That is a fundamental. Should we defund police departments to the point where we don't need them anymore?
Well, I mean,
it's a radical idea. Okay?
We arm ourselves. Is that the answer? We police ourselves.
Well, I read a good. Somebody posted something that we follow, and it was very interesting.
What did it say?
Like this could happen. Instead of if someone is causing a scene or someone's acting, I'll just give an example. If someone's acting like mentally unstable, instead of seeing a police officer, send a mental health profession out there where we can diagnose what's wrong with them.
What about like bank robberies? Hostage situations.
You'd have to have private security, right? I mean,
oh my God, I definitely don't want to. That I think privatizing the industry would lead to more abuse.
That's even worse.
So what do you do? What do you do for that?
Because a lot of people that are private security guards are the ones that were so racist they couldn't even make it as cops.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
John, is true. So I guess
that security shows up and they're a Klan hood. It's like, oh no.
Oops, wrong uniform.
I guess you're always going to need some type of police force, obviously, but I think we can scale down how they operate today. Like you said, armored car. What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, like think about in LA when those they had the body armor and they had the shootout. And the cops were shooting them and the bullets were bouncing off.
Fair enough.
I think that was actually the start. And that's probably not the only situation. I think that was probably the start when you have these SWAT teams, which are specifically designed for
Yeah.
situations like that. And maybe maybe you separate the police departments from SWAT organizations, right?
Maybe.
But then every cop sees the SWAT and they all want to be SWAT. They
They
all
all-
want to be rappelling off the building,
Yeah.
throwing smoke grenades in windows and shooting high-powered sniper rifles. Like,
You're right about that statement. Every cop does want to be SWAT, 100%.
Right.
Like, my good buddy's SWAT right now that I got hired with, and he ended up becoming an officer. And I understand the appeal of it, especially if you grew up as a kid and you idolized police, and you saw that these guys were bad and these guys are good, and then these guys are black guys most of the time. Let's just be honest here. Those guys are bad, so I'm going to go into the hood, rough them up. You watch a movie like Colors, which is very based in reality. Yes, all gang members are evil, and we're going to go beat the shit out of them, and we're going to save the day. That's not the real world we live in today. Most people join a gang because they don't have a father, they don't have a mother, they don't have a household, so they're looking for community or family. They get in with these guys. And I said last week, if you got 10 good people in a room and one of them's bad, you're screwed. Like if that one guy is going to corrupt a lot of those 10 people, what's the solution? I have no idea.
So
I almost think it should be the other way around, is actually put a little bit more money into the police department, but not in.
That's a hot take.
No, I
It is a hot
agree.
take.
I agree with
But
him.
I think that money should be filtered as a way to filter the incoming process. Psychological testing.
Higher pay will bring more
Higher
qualified
pay.
candidates which you can be more selective with. Right now, if you offer low wages, you're probably, I know Nashville in particular had a problem even finding enough police officers to fill the position.
Well, once again, when I got there, it was right when I started, was when they started 2 years of college was mandatory to get hired on. So I worked at the police department. I was able to go to college for 2 years, applied to be a police officer, decided I wanted to do it. It didn't happen. Thank God. But when I was later on, like you said, they couldn't get anyone hired, so they loosened that up now. Now it's, have you worked at a job for 5 years? I'm like,
Have you had a job before?
Yeah, it's like, have you had a job?
Are
Or,
you 18?
Are you military? Are you coming-
Basically, they could just, hey, can you rent something from Rent-A-Center today?
Yes, you're good.
Then you got a job.
Now, I will say that the Metro Police Academy is a lot stricter than the State Academy. It is a more, detailed training process. There's more that goes into it, but still, it's not that difficult to get through. Like, if you can run and you can memorize things, you're probably going to get through it. Like, yes, there is psychological tests now. They're not very thorough. I took one. It was a joke. Like,
That's what I'm saying. The current ones aren't.
The guy might have been an actor that was the psychiatrist. The questions he was asking, I was really like, dude, what is happening right now? Like, they were the dumbest. Yes, Mr. Brewington. If there was this is literally, I remember what he said. Normally you take a test. It was like a 1,000 question test. And what they're judging is not your answers. Are your answers consistent? So what's your favorite color? Blue, red, green. Okay, blue, sure. Okay, that's question 1. Question 85. What's your favorite landscape? A blue sky, the red sun, or green grass. And so they're seeing if you'll match up all your things. And one of the questions was, have you ever been on the front of Time magazine? Was like one of the questions. I went, well, what if you had been, but.
Yeah, it's what was it though when we were all on it?
Right, yeah. Yes, I was. 2012, my friend. But then, so the guy pulls me in the room. I sat on a recliner, like you see in the movie. That's why I said, man, if this was a movie scene, I'd been like, all right, this makes sense now. He goes,
Like on the ottoman recliner, like
Yes.
a psychologist?
yes, straight
Oh,
up.
interesting.
And you answered, he gave you 10 questions. First question, if you saw a snake under, and John, you're involved in this. If you saw a snake under your chair or whatever, what would you do? I was like, I guess I would jump up. What? Oh, I see. So you would be afraid. And I went, yeah, God, I don't like snakes. He goes, interesting. And so then he goes,
Like Blade Runner? He's like,
it
a
was
turtle
weird.
is in the
Well,
desert.
then the
He's
next-
on his back.
the next question, he goes, tell me about 2 important people in your life right now. And I went, okay. So I mentioned,
Oh boy.
I mentioned John. I mentioned my girl.
John and Kenny.
I mentioned my girlfriend. No, I mentioned my girlfriend at the time and John. Now he skips over the girlfriend. He goes,
Oh, no.
He goes, tell me more about
Hold
it.
on. Do I need to quit the podcast after I hear this?
No, I thought it was a weird question. He goes, tell me about this John. I went, he's my good friend. We've known each other since high school. I talk to him all the time. We've been police explorers together. We're good friends. And that's it. And I went, yeah, man, that's it. He goes, are you sure? And I went, yeah, I'm sure. What I think in my mind, I guess, was he seeing if I was gay? I don't know because if you put my girlfriend and my friend, it seems that would iron it out. Now, when I got hired to take the polygraph test in 95, I'll never forget one of the actual questions on the questionnaire.
Do you have a friend named John?
Yes. Are you a member of the Communist Party was straight up one of the questions on the test when I took it.
Were you a little nervous on that one?
No, because remember, I was hardcore right winger back then, so I took that as like
He said no.
Hell no.
But my brother is.
I was like,
No, that would get you disqualified too,
Yeah.
I believe.
I went, communism is evil. No, but it was a weird process to get hired, and
I don't even like the color red.
so and from the chat, David did an awesome job representing civilians at the MNPD. Only because I can talk. So I like to talk and I like to defend people. So maybe I should have been a lawyer. How much school would I got to go to for that?
A lot more than that.
Forget that. I'm going to do like that show Suits. Is that the show where the guy just shows up acting like he's a lawyer? You guys ever watch a show in USA? The premise of Suits is this guy's a lawyer. He hires this other guy who claims he's a lawyer because he knows so much about the law. I guess he has he can memorize things, where he get photographic memory and all that. And they don't find out until the end of season 1. Oh, he's not actually a lawyer. I don't know. He used to come on after.
Watches a lot of TV.
It used to come on. It used to come on after wrestling. That's the only reason I know about the show. I was like, this is a weird show. But to get back to it, so the rioting, which I understand. Here's what I'm going to say. I think the majority of people protesting were not the looters, were not the riot. It's how I feel. And I don't know this for sure. I'm just going on what I think. But then I thought, I'm angry as hell about this, and I'm a middle-aged white man who's never, ever felt the brunt of the police ever. Every time I've ever been pulled over, I've gotten out of a ticket. I've gotten out of situations. I've broken the law before many times, always gotten out of it.
Didn't get beat down. Didn't get murdered.
Never been assaulted by an officer or anything. I'm mad as hell. I am today. I sit here angry as hell, dude. I'm not even black. Never even experienced that. How much rage would I feel if I was in that situation is how I look at it.
It'd suck.
So is there any justification at all for vandalism of property during these events? I want to hear your takes on it. I'll start, John, I'm going to start with you.
10 years ago, 2 years ago, I'd have said no.
Okay.
But it seems like the point is not getting across. And it feels like if this is the way people are going to be heard, then let it happen. It's gone against us in our history, and it's worked for us in our history. I mean, the Boston Tea Party.
Yeah.
I mean, that was almost like a kickstart to the Revolutionary War.
Oh, yeah.
And look where we are now. We're one of the most powerful countries on the planet. And so much has changed from that one instance. And if we can get some change, because if this looting has to happen for us to make this change, then yeah, I'm for it.
I would never thought John would have said that, but that is that's a bold statement, brother. I mean, I love it. I'll get to Lee in a second. I think once you start going in stores and taking things, though, I don't know how clear you are into the protest at that point. Burning the courthouse down, well, I would never do it. Okay, I'm just gonna say I would never do that. But if you feel that much rage at the justice system that you want to burn it down, hey, do your thing. You're going to suffer the consequences. You go in the courthouse and start stealing things. What are you doing at that point? But anyway, Lee.
I would say violence on any level is never justified. I would say theft of property on any level is never justified. I think if we go back in this country and we look at the role models of change, especially in race, we instantly think of Martin Luther King. And we've all seen these images of like, they painted Martin Luther King, telling Donald Trump, who's on a Twitter phone, to be quiet. That's a powerful image. Donald Trump is the one that's advocating violence. Donald Trump is the one that's advocating looting pretty much, right?
Yeah.
Like we can't. This is a cycle that leads nowhere good. And to that degree, I think we have to put aside all semblance of color mattering, period. Like, you know,
brother, that's not.
Yes, I know it's not possible,
realistic.
But what I'm saying is, like, because you're black, you shouldn't be fearful of the cops. Because you're white, you shouldn't be fearful of the cops. And only by highlighting these, and it's a long, hard road, and it's not going to happen overnight. But that's the dream that Martin Luther King had, that the children would lay down with each other, regardless of color. We need to get back to that message.
Well, let's go back.
And there's nothing wrong with a peaceful protest. I think it's still powerful. And I'll just say this, and I think it's a perfect storm of COVID-19. Mm-hmm. Everyone's locked inside in isolation for way too long. So that's so much pent-up energy. Second off, we've had probably the most corrupt government we've seen in generations, with the most corrupt president that we've seen in generations. The in-game capitalism is getting completely out of control.
I agree.
Right? And I think it's all coming together into one perfect storm. So, I mean, looting is not something new. It's going to happen.
Right.
So I would just say we can't let it go too far out of control.
But, I mean, to John's point, at some point, if you're not being heard, what can you do to be heard? I mean, that's why I get, like, people say, would you want them to burn your business down? Well, no, I would never pick them if I had a business to burn it down. No, I would not pick that option. But if you said, can they burn it down if it makes race a lesser issue in America and it reforms police and it makes people feel better, then burn the damn building down.
I understand what you're saying, and unfortunately we live in a world where that might have to be the possibility. But the karmic balance of that is not going to fix the situation.
But we are a country.
It's got to be a temporary thing.
We're a country founded on violence. Our whole history is violence.
Well, then,
right? I mean, that's
maybe it does have to be complete. Maybe we have to burn everything.
I mean, can you imagine like these right wingers right now going, man, you really got to burn this shit down, man. You got to do this. Can you imagine them at the Revolutionary War going, hey guys, do we really have to go fight these people, man? Man, we can just let them do. You know, it's just like kind of this half bastardization of history. And I look at, you say MLK, we look at people like Jesus Christ who came and taught the same message, you know, love your brother, go back for the one. What happened to him? Murdered. MLK, murdered. Malcolm X, when he changed and started preaching peace, murdered. Okay, when you come along and you're too loud, they will silence you. And I think with the movement and the number of people, they can't kill all of you. You know, they can kill one head, and a lot of time that ends. I mean, MLK, did a lot. Probably could have done a lot more if he wasn't assassinated, you know. But I don't know that's ever going to. I hope it gets better, man. But I look at all, and I call them red hats, right wingers. They don't care. They're not willing to change your perspective. I'm not saying you have to agree with the other perspective 100% of the time. Can you put yourself in someone else's eyes and go, oh, shit, I get it now. Yeah, okay, I get it. These are people that are never going to do that. Never.
But the only way that this will, I was going to ask you earlier, is like, obviously, police racism, police corruption is a symptom of the problem of generational racism.
Yes.
It's not really the cops. If we did not have racist people, the cops wouldn't be racist.
That's true.
So racism is a problem in this country at its very core and foundation. And what do you do to root it out? And to say like these people are unwilling to change is accurate. So we have to change them.
How do we change
But
them?
here's the problem.
How?
If the answer is like
required integration?
No. Listen, if they've tried that. If the point is if your only answer is to punch Nazis, that will never solve anything. That's only going to cause more anger. That's only going to cause these right-wingers to hunker down more and hate you anymore.
I hear you.
What we have to do is we have to listen to their problems. We have to understand the fundamental reasons why they feel the racism. And it's not, they're not racist simply to be racism. They truly in their hearts feel threatened by something. And until we understand that problem and are capable of addressing it, things are not going to change.
Brother, you're asking a whole group of people to be their best self to make, I'm with you.
I'm not saying to be their best self.
Brother,
we should almost encourage racism so that we can see it in front of us and deal with it head on until we understand their plight and we're willing to work with them on that. Because, here's the thing. You always hear these stories about these racist people who meet a black man and they become best friends. Like, and
Yes.
they end up being like, and they end up completely converting their life around. Now that's
integration.
that is okay.
Well, that's true. I mean,
To some degree, maybe, but I don't know if forced is the right
oh,
word.
can I get an apology for episode 87?
John was right. John had it.
No,
right.
no. I didn't say that. It was me that said that. But I think, yes, you're right. In an ideal world, we're not all that person.
The problem is for, I believe, and this is just my take on it, I believe that racism is ultimately irrational. And what you're saying is a perfect fix for a rational problem. But I believe that a huge majority of people who are racist because their daddy was racist. They were just raised that way.
Ignorance, yeah.
And they can't tell you why they're racist. And so they're not going to change because it's irrational.
Well, they can change though.
They
They have changed. People have changed.
People can, but it takes some self-awareness. It takes an understanding. Brother, I was a right-wing Republican. Okay, you knew me. Both of you knew me. I wore a freaking no Democrat sign to go vote. Okay, I was all in. Like, I thought Clinton was the devil. And along the way, because I was just in my limited mindset at 18, 19 years old, I thought that's the way the world operated. Okay, it was stupid. It was a limited view. So I'm agreeing with both of you. You got to open up your worldview. You got to see other religions, other people, other cultures. And we joke about integration, but
Education.
Educate yourself in, like, these people still believe the Quran is the evilest book ever.
That's never going to work. That's never going to work, but it's a good idea. But here's the thing. Here's at the end of the day. If someone generationally racist, they don't really know what to believe.
Right.
They're depending on their parents to raise them.
Yeah.
If a black man is seen rioting on TV and it's pointed out, like, they're going to use that as ammo. They're going to use that to root their indoctrination, and that's going to make it so real. So we have to remove the capability for them to do that. First off,
I agree. That was
have to
MLK. Yeah, that was
remove
MLK's entire message. I understand.
I mean, and
But then-
it's not easy.
But here's
it's definitely not easy.
And to kind of close this off, but this is what really bothers me, though. That you got like these people like Clay Travis or Tommy Lahren or whatever. You got this new lady called Candace Owens, who's this black Republican young lady. And I saw somebody sent me a video that I used to work with, and I immediately unfriended them on Facebook. I said, why am I even following this guy? But it's a video from this Candace Owens saying, well, I understood George Floyd was murdered, but he was not a good guy. He was doing drugs. We can't make this guy a martyr. Why does that matter? Well, he is a martyr for the reason that he was killed by police officers. It does not matter about what he did before, what he did after. I mean, you can make the same arguments people would make about Jesus or MLK or anybody like that. These are the evil people in society. Is the people I named that are pushing this agenda? A Ben Shapiro, monopolist, Alex Jones. These guys are bad because they're feeding into these uneducated people and pushing this agenda, and they think it's educational. They think it's smart. They think it's highbrow. They think it's, this Clay Travis, he's the best guy. Clay Travis is trash, okay? And for me to say that, I enjoy sports talk, but when he got into politics, I said, this guy is bad for America. He's bad for the world, the stuff he spouts. It's truly a cancer that gets in these people's brains, and then they start quoting those stats to you when they talk to you, and you go, brother, I can't help you. Like, I mean,
you really can't help those people.
I could try to help you, brother, but you're not going to listen to me because
really
you're dug in.
Yeah.
You're dug into where you're at, and you're never going to change. And it's scary. And I just.
But at what point do you start to breach the fundamental principles of America, which is freedom of speech?
Well, that's the problem. That's
a huge thing right now.
Yeah.
That's the thing we talked about last week with executive order, Twitter, social media, Facebook, all these. And the fact is the black men have been murdered for a long time. Black men have been abused and beaten. We live in a society where we have more access to video camera. That's one of the reasons this has come to the forefront, is because we're actually now seeing how powerful is that to see a man say, I cannot breathe, and then to die right there on camera,
Powerful,
right?
yeah.
So, and this is going to only become more prevalent, right? We're only going to, as body cameras and people equip themselves with body cameras and have the ability to transmit that stuff to stream it live instantly.
Well, I guess the logic with the body cams is that people will behave if they know they're being monitored.
Only until it becomes so normal that
so
people don't even, it's not even abnormal to be streamed live.
It's a lot to unpack, but obviously have a conversation, have an uncomfortable conversation with people that see the world differently than you. Be willing to sit down and go, here's why I think you're wrong. You tell me why. I mean, be open to everything. Once you're closed down to something, you're done. So all that being said, but that was a good talk. I think.
Okay, well, leave us with one piece of advice in this crazy exit COVID civil unrest world that we're in now.
I mean, what I would encourage people to do is everyone did on Blackout Tuesday is, number one, donate if you can. Donate. Find a good cause to donate to, because those donations do help with a good cause. Number two, have conversations with people, real conversations with people about race, about how they see the world. If you can be part of a protest, do that. That's good.
Peaceful.
But my most important, I keep coming to this. These people making the rules, they get there because we vote them in, or we don't vote and they get in. In November, or whenever your election is, you need to educate yourselves, as someone said, Robin said in the chat, and get out and vote. Vote, vote, vote. If we want this dude out, if we want Trump out, you got to show up and outvote him. And in my mind, there's no way that there's more people that support that guy than don't in this world. There's no way. I don't want to live in that world. Vote. Vote once. Obviously, Republicans go, oh, you mean vote 3 times? If I could get that bastard out of office, I'd vote 1,000 times every day. I would. Okay, right, I know John, that's wrong, but
you got any words of advice, John?
Education, and just find one person that has a different viewpoint of you, and find out why they think that way.
That's good, Lee.
I would say it's time we start taking what you said to heart and educating ourselves, and we start voting with our money. So many people in this world look for the cheapest, easiest thing, but there's a lot of people out there that are running businesses ethically. There's a lot of people that you might end up paying more for a quality product that has been purposed ethically, and we need to start changing our look on life. Everything is not about greed and capitalism. There are more important things, such as unity. And I think we need to vote with our money. That needs to be a switch in this country. So vote, educate,
donate.
There
you go. Vote, educate, donate.
Those are the 8s.
That's good. All right, we got time for a Dear John. Speaking of, the opposite of educate.
But I don't think we have time for a Dear John. But
okay.
Let's go ahead and preview what we had lined up for next week. Which was the monument.
Oh, the Mount. Okay, so there are...
In lieu of sports.
Okay.
We're missing this.
John, go.
I mean, I love sports. Dave loves sports. Lee kind of likes sports. But, we miss sports. But one thing we can do is we can latch onto our sports movies. So next week, do your homework. We're going to do ours. We want the Mount Rushmore of sports movies.
Sports movies. I'm telling you, John and Lee, sports movies.
Give me just a sample, because I've already got Knight's Tale at the top of my list.
Not a jousting movie. Not a jousting movie.
Jousting is a sport.
It is not a sport. Look.
There are rules and there's points. I've seen it.
It's not a sport, okay, guys?
What's your definition of sport?
It's nerds acting. No one jousts anymore.
Okay. Jousting is not sport. Give us your definition of a sports movie.
Sport is something
so we can all be prepared.
You can go see with a crowd of people that has rules, trophies, and winners in the modern. If you guys want to put jousting on your thing, I'm not going to knock you down.
Sounds like you already are.
Not Knight's Tale. Thank you from the chat. I do got to say, Festlove said about racist. You said racist, or what have you just basically was saying what a racist is. Like you grew up in it, or you're ignorant. And he goes, or you grew up in Dixon. I co-sign that 100%. Every person I've met in Dixon, they're racist. Okay, so anyways, yes, we're doing the sports movie Mount Rushmore. Now, I want to do a flashback real quick before we sign off, that we did a rap Mount Rushmore a long time ago, and Lee's actual 3 of them that I can remember was Vanilla Ice, Snow.
No.
Yes, it was. It's on our Facebook page. And another white guy.
I don't even know who Snow is.
I gave you Snow because you said you run out of white rappers. But anyway. Okay, well, that's
Was it Haystack?
Yellow Wolf was one of them.
Oh, gosh.
All right, so there we go. That was Blame Your Brother. What a good one. I think this is a really good episode that people hopefully will tie into and listen to. But hey, guys, thank you so much. Feels good to be back in the studio. And like we tell you all the time, go to our website, bybpod.com. That's the website where you can get all of our past articles, all of our past episodes, all of our social media links. There's an Amazon link, so if you want to buy something on Amazon, please use that link. It helps us out. And you can also get one of these Blame Your Brother shirts. It's back on the table there, but they're very nice, very stylish. You can do that from the website. And you can email us your thoughts. We would love to hear them. So hit us up on the website, bybpod.com. Email us, send us a voicemail. Do it, rate, review, share with your friends, educate, donate, all that good stuff. So, yes, with all that being said, Lee, is there anything else?
Don't blame yourself when you can blame your brother.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.